Hey, everybody. Michelle is here in the building. This is around lunch hour for me. I'm kind of sweating a little bit. I mean, not really sweating. Never mind. Irrelevant. But anyway, I'm working on some things in here, and so I can hear the birds outside. So apparently there's a baby bird in this palm tree, because I keep hearing it from the palm tree outside my house. And I told you, they pick up sounds very well. So apparently it's out there, carrying on. No, just joking. Oh gosh. So I want to talk about something else that I discovered, reading some information that's provided to us. It's actually provided to all of us if we choose to look for it. But a lot of people don't want to look for things. They don't want to. They want everything to be. I don't know. I'm not really sure of intentions, to be honest with you. Okay, all I can go on is someone's behavior and actions, really, and that's all we all can do. Because the individual has to know their intentions. That way, it'll help to cultivate their behaviors and actions. But a lot of people are disconnected from what they're thinking and what they're saying and doing, and that's where all the contradictions, are. That's where the contradictions are. And sometimes things are like a clock, like TikToks. I mean, not. Some things are prearranged. A lot of things are prearranged. Maliciously and pending things are pending certain behaviors and actions, right? And that goes with whether it's energy or whether it's human beings. Okay, in other words, some human beings have this nefarious intentions going on, and they don't think anybody can pick that up. That's my point. They don't think a lot of people can pick up their thoughts because they're saying all the right things. They're great orators, right? You heard that term, oratory. They're great at that. They're great. Let me just get the meaning of it.
Oratory.
Yeah, oratory. Okay, it's the art of an orator, the art of speaking well or speaking according to the rules of rhetoric in order to please or to persuade, the art of public speaking. Okay, and sometimes the intentions of oratory or orators is to it's a deliberate act of deception. Okay, they know what their intentions are. You may not know. Okay, you may not know what their intentions are. You think that they're being genuine and honest with you about their intentions and how they're going to save you or something of that effect. And it usually happens with preachers, pastors, ministers, politicians, those type of, usually in the pyramids, when they're attempting to convince you, persuade you, influence you. That is what an orator does. Okay, they're very, very well spoken. They articulate extremely well. They're great at public speaking. But there's something deliberate about what they're doing. There's a hidden agenda usually. Okay, they have a hidden agenda, and they speak. They have eloquent speaking abilities. I mean, and but again, it depends on their intentions. Okay, I think as long as whoever's been listening to me and silently, anonymously, as I said, and support me anonymously, silently, blah blah blah. I sense and receive you. Trust me, I sense and receive you, and I do appreciate that. It's comforting. Okay, and we all know that sometimes there are some things that has to be done. regardless of how someone feels about it or not. Because I put a video out just the other day about, I do care about what people think about me. I know a lot of people say they don't. I do. Especially if they're in my physical presence, okay? But on the social media platform, I have no control over that. And neither do you. But we all attempt to control that by throwing out these kind of false assertions about, I don't care what anybody says about me. What you know deep down inside that's not true. But hey, contemplate, cultivate, probably meditate, but don't ruminate. So my point is, and these are my theories and opinions, we ought to care what people think about us. I mean, we really do ought to care about that, so that we know that we are properly handling ourselves properly, especially physically, in our physical presence and our interpersonal relationships. That is extremely important. Okay? So, again, we have a lot of great orators who are, eloquent speakers. And look, you can put me in that category as well, because I know I speak. I know I can speak properly, clearly, and effectively. I know that, along with millions of others. And you can put me in that category because they can masquerade, unfortunately, and that's, like I said, that's for the individual to cultivate and contemplate on. But they can masquerade as teachers. I told you these are the false ones. They're teachers, masters, prophets, ministers, pastors, all of those categories, messengers, categories of sometimes self-created elevation of themselves, of a persona of themselves. And like I said, the individual has to be able to discern that properly. And that's why I tell you to pay, what does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? What do you hear? Blah, blah, blah. You, as the individual, have to take on responsibility to know, and accountability about what you're being told, the knowledge you assess, and also the self-knowledge. Self-education is extremely important. That's my main source of how I've educated myself, is through self-education. When I was frustrated in school, I'm gonna be honest, because I felt like a lot of things were being, not clearly and effectively we were not being clearly and effectively educated, in my opinion. Okay, I went to a sort of like a trade high school where we were taught skills and abilities to get us out in the workforce. And I'm telling you, I saw some of my classmates online, they had their little, it's not little, it was this was a major, what do you call them? School reunions or something like that, class reunions. So I saw my classmates. I was not going to make it, and I had no intentions of going, to be honest, but I do like to keep in touch with people, but I had no intentions of going, by the way. It's not that like I thought I was better than anybody else, but I just had no intentions of going, and I had to make that decision for myself. But it was nice to see some of the faces. Some of the faces had not changed as far as I remember. I lost my yearbook, so I have no idea. And I missed that yearbook because in that yearbook I wrote down a lot of things that I can't. And then I also wrote some things in other people's yearbook because they told me. And I thought that was kind of funny because I'm sure I remember what I said in those yearbooks if I had the chance to, see the yearbooks. But since I lost my yearbook, because there were things written in there as well, and that's just like a piece of memory. That's all. So anyway, yes. So there are some people that are eloquent in speaking and public speaking, and they're called oratories. But there's an intention sometimes behind that type of, sorry about that, those type of personalities when they are becoming extremely, where they're so extreme on one facet of the scale or another, where they're attempting to influence you, persuade you. They're very, very they got a lot of expression. They're talking loud, and they're like, their eyes are about to come out of their socket, and they're very. The perfect example was that cult leader Jim Jones. He's perfect. Okay, he's a perfect example to watch. Watch the politicians, observe them, be impersonal. Be impersonal, but watch and observe them. I even said that way on back, that there are certain politicians that are perfect examples of the classic narcissist. Not all, but there are some. And all you have to do is watch them, because they know how to do things with their hands, their eyes, and how they, and the tones and the sounds. And it's usually a way of scaring you, persuading you, influencing you, coerciveness, okay? And those are the ones that you really need to observe and pay attention to and find out, okay, what is their agenda? Okay? Let me look at something else here. Okay, so yes, they're usually forceful too. And they're forceful and say, just attempting to force their will on you. Okay? So start observing and listening to, if you can, certain type of personalities, and see if you can pick up something. Like I said, are they forcing you to are they forcing their will on you? Are they giving you the opportunity of free will? Are they telling you that only they can lead you somewhere? The Messiah complex. There's millions of that as well. These Messiah complexes. And some people, when they're about to have an episode, meaning a bipolar episode, they'll go into those extreme measures of themselves, that they are messiahs, okay? And that only they know the truth, and only they can lead you to the truth. In other words, something is unhinging them. They're becoming unhinged. And usually, if people are paying attention, okay, last year around this time, something happened with a particular individual, and it was all. It gets to a point to where it appears, and it possibly is orchestrated. There's an orchestra behind it, music, sounds, okay, and they know how to so-called regulate people. Sometimes they do it with medication. Sometimes they do it with hypnosis, mind control, indoctrination. There are some that know what they are doing. They got this strong presence about them, and we've a lot of us in our upbringing were told to trust authorities, figures like that. Okay, and to act a certain way when you're around those kind of individuals. Because I never forget when we were little kids, and all of us were in my dad's. Oh God, I can't remember. It was a 1965 something. Okay, it was a 65 model vehicle, and my dad loved that vehicle. And he held on to it and held on to it and held on to it, and he left it in the backyard. And and he always would say that, hey, I'm gonna come back. He always said these things: when I retire, I'm gonna do this. When I retire, I'm gonna do that. And then when he retired, he barely did any of it. That's what I'm saying. That's the point there. But I remember we was in that vehicle. It was that vehicle, that 65 vehicle, or another. But I know all of us were in the vehicle together. So that's why I know it had to be that particular vehicle, that 65, because all of us could fit in that, But we couldn't fit in the other ones that he had, not comfortably, because we were growing, but we were little kids. And I remember my mom, like I said, my mom loved music. Love it, love it, love it. So I remember one time we were going somewhere, and my mom cranked up had the music cranked up, and she was all into it and dancing and stuff like that. But then once we got near church, my mom said, turn that music down, turn that music down. And my dad turned the music down. And so And so what was happening is we came to a church, and I think they were leaving the church. They had services, and they were all coming out into the street, crossing the street, blah blah blah. And so, that's the indoctrination that I told you about, that we all have been indoctrinated to act a certain way around certain people, and something in our subconscious triggers that as well. But we were playing some good soul music, honey, good soul music. But once we got to the church, my mom said, turn that music down, and my dad turned the music down, and once we passed the church, and those people that were all out, because we had our windows down, and then we could resume. So in other words, we had to turn down the soul music we were playing because we were passing a church. Now, what does all that mean? Really? But I'm not going to go there. So, in other words, we've all been indoctrinated to act a certain way around certain people, like pastors, preachers, messengers. Those that are purported to be an authority figure. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with being respectful either. Nothing wrong with being respectful, and not deliberately revving up your engines, playing loud music, and disturbing people. You have to you can enjoy yourself without it disturbing people. Because I told you I love the bass and the drop beat, and I love to hear that music, usually very loud, where it's all over my environment. I told you I used to do headphones, but I don't like doing headphones anymore. So I liked it when I was in my house. I used to crank it up, and just it felt fantastic to me, to hear and all that. Loud banging, I'm not banging, but the bass and that rhythm, that rhythm that was with that, because and the vibrational of it, and it just was great to me. I love it, and that those series of sounds and tones, and it was fantastic to hear. So like I said, we've lost, because of a lot of all this interference. We've whether that music is appropriate or not, I say it is. Okay, hip hop is harmonious, regardless of what anyone says, and I can care less about what everybody else has to say about it. It's harmonious. Okay, it has harmonious sounds and tones. The problem is we are just losing pure sounds and pure tones due to interference. Come back to that at a later time. So the oratories, yes, there are millions of them, billions possibly, of oratory types. Okay, but what you have to do is distinguish the false from the negative, though. The false from the genuine. Okay, false leaders versus genuine leaders, false teachers versus genuine teachers. Now, a teacher, as I told you, a teacher knows their students, and they're not going to be necessarily forceful. If you have a teacher that's being forceful towards your student, towards your children, okay, that's a cause for concern. Okay, they're not attempting to influence them per se. What most teachers, good teachers, do is they allow students to connect the dots and fill in the missing pieces. They know how much to put out so that they're not drowning them. Literally, figuratively, metaphorically. Okay, so a lot of this is coming forward, and let me tell you what prompted this. Like I said, I'm reading and some information that was put out from someone that I follow, as far as follow the knowledge that this man is putting out. Okay, and this man has suffered a lot over the course of his life, and now, and which I don't blame him, he just wants to do what he's supposed to do. He's not the one that bestowed himself as anything. He's not the one that who told anybody that he was a chosen one. Okay, he didn't tell anybody that he was a prophet. Okay, he just, he made his presence known to numerous religion. He took the the opportunity and respect to understand everyone's religious beliefs. He understood human beings from all walks of life, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and I say that to say this. Throughout decades and decades ago, when there were discoveries of this, that this man was here, that was in our among our humanity. He's a human being, by the way. There was, and they realized what his duties and responsibilities were. There were a lot of people that came to visit this man, a lot. And there's a video out about it. Just look it up, where people were coming from all walks of life to come and meet this man and find out, okay, what is he all about? And he had the patience to answer as many people as he can and question and answer their questions as much as he can. And there's a movie out about him, if it hasn't been taken off. And I'm gonna have you look it up and like I said, do your research. There's a movie out of him, like I said, attempting to answer questions honestly, clearly, and effectively, and to tell people exactly what his intentions were and what his intentions are. Okay, he did not do it. Yeah, there's a movie out. Okay, yeah, it's been around for a while, so just look it up, do your own research, and try to figure out. But once people see, the thing is, you can't fool your consciousness. And so sometimes when you are struck with truth, you're going to pay attention to that, whether you're unconscious or not. It sounds truthful to you. So you're going to do what? You want to know more about what is that? What is that? What is being imposed to me? And sometimes it could be impulses from from the universal storage bank or planetary storage bank, blah, blah, blah. I'll go into that again another time. So several walks of life, more so in the religious sector, came to visit this man. They'll deny it, of course. This happened over several decades ago. Several religious figures from all walks of life, all believers, okay, they all came to visit him. All of them, major figures in these so-called religious communities, okay? All of them came to visit him. They'll deny it, okay? And even people, individual citizens have trekked to visit him, have come to the center that he has created, that's in Switzerland. Figure it out. Okay. Now, some of these religious communities, like I said, they were all walks of life, and there were some some of these high regarded political leaders as well. All came to visit him. Now, there's no issue with that, coming to visit per se, but he started to recognize that his always was nefarious intentions with some of the insistent visitors, people that are insisting on meeting him. Now, those that happen to go to the center and find and happen to see him, that's fantastic. And I think I heard some people say that they weren't necessarily looking for him, but he happens to show up, and they were like in awe. Okay, but there are some that attempt to forcefully meet this man. Okay, and their intentions were nefarious, meaning they wanted to see what they can take from him, take, instead of it being a give, and instead of it being a neutralized exchange. They want to take so that they can go out and create their own thing and benefit from it and say that it all came from them. You understand me? In other words, they wanted pieces. I said this yesterday too. They want pieces of everything. Or I said it earlier today. They want pieces of everything to then go out and lie to people about that it came from them. It came from their religion. It came from their cult. It came from their so-called superior personalities. Because a lot of people think they have superior personalities or high level of these high spiritual levels of personalities. And I told you about meeting your maker, how you're going to meet your maker. I will listen to that video if you choose to. If not, I told you how you're going to meet your maker. Now, whether you accept that or not, you don't have to. All free will, which I love. That's my saving grace right there. That is free will. Theories and opinions, maybe. Sprinkled with some conspiracy theories, maybe. You have to be creative. I keep saying that. You have to be creative. And the thing is it's about reaching people and reaching the right ears, okay, that know the sounds and tones that are coming out of me are truthful. And that I'm not trying to deceive you. I'm not trying to manipulate you. I'm just giving you some information to what? Contemplate, cultivate, properly meditate, but not ruminate. Okay, to help to what? Evolve your consciousness. That's my intention. Now, all of those religious figures, which they'll deny it. A lot of them have passed away, but I know their descendants know. Their congregation knows. Okay, were attempting to take from this man. Take. Because they felt in their delusion that they were what? The chosen ones, and they're the only ones allowed to have this information. In other words, they were the only ones to represent this treasure. Okay, that they were the self, because a lot of people that are representatives, that is a sometimes a self-created, occupation. I want to represent. So okay, and sometimes you can. That's what I say. A man's word is what? What did I say about that? A man's word is his bond. So if you're going to come forward and say, I want to represent something, whether you're representing a mission, representing a cause, or you're advocating, a man's word is his bond. A man or a woman's word is their bond. So that means if you're going to represent, it's voluntary. Okay, when you're advocating on a volunteer basis, but you know that there's backstories to that, meaning that that there's an opportunity to you need to be provided for. In other words, you need to have you need to be provided for. That's why that's why nonprofits are good for that. That's why I set up a nonprofit. I'm not attempting to be a billionaire for nobody. That is not my intentions at all. Earning a whole lot of money. No. What I want is the basic necessities, of course. To provide for myself, because I am what? Responsible for my well-being. And I'm not going to be a burden to anyone. Okay, that's not happening. In other words, I am a whole person responsible for that. Now, when I come together with a partner, we still have to be two whole people, meaning we can stand on our own 2 feet. Okay, I'm not coming half on nothing. I'm coming whole. Okay, I'm not coming half on nothing. I'm coming whole. So there were a lot of them that wanted to, like I said, take from this man. Some of them bribed him, were bribing him too, with whole millions and millions and millions of dollars, because they wanted to know about technology more so than anything. They wanted technology information. See how this degeneracy has taken hold? It's about technology and how to control people, and about this and that and the other. And the same thing is happening now. We're more concerned about our weapons than our consciousness. The more weapons, the better. And that's that's how we degenerated. About toys and weapons. People want their toys, and these weapons are seen as their toys. Military types, police, those they love their toys. They love their guns, their weapons. They love them, okay, obsessively. They'd rather sleep with a gun than with a partner. Okay, they have more of an interpersonal relationship with weapons than they do with human beings. They have more of a interpersonal relationship with toys and technology than they do with human beings. Okay? All right. So, yes, oratory types are those that will come in and they want to take, right? And there's a lot of them that were actually despondent. And I'm telling you, some of you are going to be despondent when you realize that you have been in nothing but a delusion about your reality, about something that did not ever existed. And it was just passed on from generation to generation, to descendant, from your ancestors, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go into that too at some point about some origin of certain things. Okay? And it took off. And if you are under a belief about someone having that much power and authority on you, you're going to create that. And I told you some people have and some haven't survived. Okay? So a lot of them were coming forward, attempting to get information from this man. And because that's not his, first of all, that's not his responsibility to be pointing somebody out to say they're chosen over another. That's not his responsibility. He's a teacher. Okay, and what teacher would even share that if they even know that they have a favorite student? They're not supposed to share that, or that, and that's similar. That's in a similar way, That's why you remember about some kids giving the teacher an apple, attempting to what, and that became dangerous. And so because the teacher wasn't responding accordingly, giving some of these students what they wanted, which is an advantage over everybody else, then they started, attempting to harm the teacher. Okay, that's the same concept. So when these so-called religious figures and cult members, a lot of them were cult religious, came to visit, this man, when he didn't tell them what they wanted to hear, some of them became so despondent about it, they committed suicide. Okay, or they had group suicides, like Jim Jones. Okay, Heaven's Gate is another. Heaven's Gate, that was a cult, and we all know that, and we know all what happened. Okay, because they could not force their will on people about what they believed, they created their own fantasy and reality about what is supposed to happen, and these all these people fell in line with that. As they were prophesizing, it was there was a prophecy of their own making, and they were and like I said, if they weren't getting the answers, a lot of people, if they don't get the answers they seek, they're going to create their delusions and their realities to support it. And like I said, they may not survive. It usually ends in suicide or being placed in a mental institution. Heaven's Gate was one of those groups, as well as Jim Jones, as I said. And I'm not sure what Heaven's Gate, I think it was like 27. They call it mass suicides. I think it was in 96, 97-ish, something like that. I think it's like 27 of them. Men and women. Okay? So, again, there are going to be false teachers out there. They're everywhere. But you are responsible for, like I said, you're discerning it properly. And so what I'm doing is attempting to help you. okay, because that's what I am enthusiastic about, because I managed to pick up certain things through sensory, and I'm going to stop saying that word as well, because when you have to understand, when people start hearing certain words, they start conjuring up things, okay, and then so they misuse words and terms. That's why I say there's a lot of words and terms that have lost value. Okay, so it's like a dangerous mind games. That's exactly what it is. Dangerous mind games. And we do everything in our power, and I say we, those of us that are attempting to help, which is, could be anywhere from 100,000 to 1,000,000. That's irrelevant. Okay, and it's a delusion that they've managed to conjure up when they when they do a certain type of unconscious concentration. They don't know the impact. And they absolute overestimate. They just overdo it, go extreme about their abilities. Okay, and conjuring up things that happen during meditation. That's dangerous. I told you that. Not understanding phenomena like teleportation, telekinesis. I told you, telepathic. They don't understand that. Okay, they don't understand the phenomena of that, so they kind of create self-productions of that, and that that does and sometimes manifests itself, but it's in an unconscious self-influence, and it takes over control of one's own reality in order to make their illusionary visions, desires, goals come true. Okay, they appear to hear certain voices and sounds. I told you, if you're hearing voices that are not your voices, that's an issue. You ought to not be hearing anyone's voices within you or outside of you or whatever, except your own. And that's usually in your voices or your thoughts anyway. Okay, they claim that they're hearing noises, moving chairs. It's a phenomena that can come visible. They claim they see orbs, certain earth gases, perceptions of something that is not real, something that's manifesting during sleep through unconscious thoughts. Unconscious. They're not conscious that this is happening, because it's wedged itself into their subconscious. Some people, they get carried away with their assumptions, their talents. They're losing ground under their feet. They're not grounded in reality, and they're not thinking properly. Okay, they create mirages, fantasies. They consider themselves capable about certain things. They imagine themselves with higher abilities. Delusional. Okay, they're delusional. And some people are like clockwork. When their delusions start creeping in, that's when they started going into these manic. When somebody starts becoming manic, where they're extreme, and and that's how I used to recognize that with certain relatives. And my dad started picking that stuff up too. That exactly when they're about to go into their episodes. And anyone that's close to someone is experiencing delusions, hallucinations, mental illness. That's why you need to have compassion for anyone having mental illness. Instead, we don't. We do not. And we have the nerve to have some so-called mental health day, a mental health month, or whatever. It's all contradiction. And, we're putting people in danger because of their mental illness. We're intentionally causing them to become unhinged. Intentionally. All right? So, there's too, and so in other words, there's too much interference and coercive behaviors and actions. Influential, we're attempting to influence our will instead of letting our will, let our will be. We are attempting to enforce our will in a forceful manner. Okay, some people claim to have the talk about colors. They're talking about colors. They're talking about illusions. Some being directed by these phenomenons or these these fantasies. And there's another thing that they are. I mean, it's just dangerous mind games. And some people do these experiments on themselves, for fun. A lot of people are doing things for fun. Dangerous mind games. Okay? Because sooner or later they're going to be in a hospital having a psychiatric episode. And they're going to lose control to recapture being conscious in their thinking. Okay? So there's a lot of things going on that we need to really, really get a grip on. And I know certain people are. And I told you I appreciate them, understanding what my intentions are. And my intentions are to help. And sometimes you got to be creative, though. You may have to bring in some laughing about certain serious topics. That's why I love to laugh. Sometimes you have to, you have to be creative, whatever your intentions are, okay? And enjoy the moment, okay? Not be so serious, too. And not take yourself so serious. But yes, some people are accelerating their disillusion of delusion, obsession, and being playful about certain things of their consciousness. There's a difference of being humorous and having fun and laughter and socializing and this and that and the other. But they're not attempting to force their will on what they believe their abilities are, and that on others as well, in projection. Yeah, they're on the path of delusion instead of on the path of, they're on their genuine path of their alignment. Okay? So, meditation presupposes that the meditator's thoughts are always grounded in reality, and that she or he does not build up any fantasies, delusions, illusions in her thinking. Okay, certainly not those that relate to imaginative, fantasy-rich, and usually exaggerated expectations. Okay, you have to get a hold of that. Otherwise, stop meditating. I'm just being really honest with you, so you can save some harm to your consciousness. So again, if you're meditating, attempting to what's that word? Elevate your consciousness and all that other stuff, that's dangerous territory. I'm just going to make that very clear and effective, but you have free will. Thankfully, I can separate any kind of guilt about that, because I have no guilt about anything that I'm saying. Okay? And also, making demands, meditation demands. And you won't know when like I said, you won't know when you're elevating your consciousness. You will not know that. It's an unconscious event. But you will start an expansion of your thoughts, where it's like you are opening up, your realities, and you're thinking more clearly and effectively. Meditation is a state of absorption. You're absorbing things. Okay. And some people say, well, nothing's happening in my concentrating. Well, you're being too hard on yourself if you say that. Gentle, be kind. Just do it. Okay? Don't have any expectations. I told you I'm going to give you some prayers to your prayers to your consciousness. How about that? And a lot of other people know about this as well. They may put that out on their blogs and websites or in their podcasts. In other words, it's directed at you, not at anybody outside of you. It's directed towards you and your consciousness. Okay, and you have to do this daily. I sent that out to somebody. It's a series of it's like a series of it was originally called back in the day spiritual teaching prayers, which have nothing to do with religion. Nothing. So I'm gonna give you some of that information too when I start back my podcast. And it's also important too, as teachers or whatever you want to call yourself, that they have to have resilience and perseverance. If you don't have that resilience and perseverance, you might as well forget about it, because you're going to always be interfered with for the rest of your life. Okay, there's going to be falseness coming from all walks of life. There's going to be negativity coming from all walks of life. Okay, and a lot of things are going to be hidden from you. But a lot of people, I say millions and maybe even billions of people, know silently, because you can make this silent. No one has to know. Where no one has to know. You can make it silent what you're doing. Nobody needs to know. But I know a lot of people were questioning a lot of things about their realities, what they were told as children. And they, like me, were picking up contradictions. Almost like being slammed in the brain with contradiction. Oh, gosh. But thankfully, like I said, my parents did not push stuff on us. And so that is a saving grace as well. They didn't push us to do nothing. Okay. Only thing was get the hell out of the house. When my mom wanted to rest or eat or prepare meals for us or clean the house. How about that? So in other words, there's a lot of things we don't know. Okay, but a lot of it starts with our thinking. Okay, and at some point, if you don't get a hold of it, you're going to be attacked. Now, what does that mean, attacked? Your consciousness is going to be on a continual attack where you just are not able to regain any sense of your reality. Okay? All right, I think I've shared enough of that for today. I'm going to share a lot more, of course, because, I am enthusiastic. Like I said, once I knew that I am responsible for me and my happiness and everything like that, that's when I think I felt like a light body. And maybe that's what a lot of people, when they start determining things about themselves, they feel light-bodied. I mean, in other words, they've released all these what do you call them? This weighted irrelevancy. And I told you, like depression feels like a weight in the world on your shoulders. But if you can talk yourself out of that, you realize you're carrying something. And some people are carrying the thoughts of others, carrying the swinging waves, which are swinging thoughts of energy. We're picking up other energy that doesn't even belong to us. That's why you have to do an inspection of your reality and know what's in it. I say downsize yourself too, so that you don't have to worry about your materialism so much. A lot of people are all fixed on their materialism, worried about, oh my God, are they gonna break in my car? Are they gonna break in my apartment? All those kind of worries. All right, so I know this is going on long. That's fine. Listen at your leisure. Be passive about it. Come back. When you're pissed off with me about something, I'm pissed off about something I said, just go away, take a walk, and then come back at a later date. It'll be there. All right, let's see what else. All right, so I think that's all I wanted to share today on this Monday, October 16, 2023. I'm sharing the dangers of meditation and how some people are sending themselves into insanity, or going to be sending themselves into self-harm, sacrifice, okay, which is self-hatred and eventually suicide or homicide, suicide, homicide, murder, suicide, because they are not who they bestowed them. They realize they're not who they bestowed themselves to be. They notice that they have been misrepresented and just taken for a ride in their quest. A lot of people have their quest to know the truth, and they're going to be you're going to have a reason to be upset, but like I said, be kind and gentle with yourself, so there's a less likelihood of you seeking retaliation and revenge. Okay, so that's all for right now. I hope everybody enjoy themselves and enjoy each other, and send peace out, send peace and love throughout the universe, and just be gentle, be kind to yourself. I'm going to help you. Trust me. I'm going to do everything I can to help. Okay, and others as well. Genuinely. Peace and love, and trust me, I'll be back.